in America. We didn't know how they was treating the blacks in America. We didn't know that.
This is very crushing to them. They are grieving hard because they believed a lie that my people just didn't believe.
They think that they are superior over us. They think that they are God. Yeah, they see us like the black monkeys.
Where I just needed to resign from white people in mass. Like I felt a craving, and that's why honestly I came back home.
Africans living in the United States go through hell in the hands of the white racists, go through nonsense.
My grandfather came to this country with nothing. He couldn't even speak the language, but he worked hard and he made a place for himself and his family. Now why can't you people do the same? My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another.
Africans thinking that, you know, black Americans are lazy and, you know, don't work hard, don't understand the systemic situation. They don't understand the history. They don't understand enough about the civil rights movement and, you know, the result of chattel slavery and Jim Crow laws and mass incarceration.
So when you come to this country, first of all, being labeled black, and you have an accent, studies show that you are treated with less of intelligence when you're speaking to someone with an accent.
Wait, this went wrong fast. Today we are talking about a topic that has many people talking on right. Imagine, many videos are going viral showing some African immigrants sharing their own experiences with racism in America. I'm telling you, this is crazy. Some of them are saying that after living in the US, they now understand why many black Americans have been speaking about racism many years. Oh my goodness, this is very crazy. But now, I want to give my thought. As I always, this is my opinion based on what I watched. Let's get into it. I will be right back.
Different when you get to the States. And when you get to the States, there is a black American dream, black immigrant dream that if you could get to the States, you could make it. Because there's this idea that the American dream is there. We haven't gotten the updates yet. The black Americans on the ground probably have. They know as much that, oh no, that dream that you're talking about, that's literally a figment. But the black Caribbean person or the black African will come into that space and be around black Americans, and they will look at them as though, why haven't you taken advantage of this? And I noticed very early on, especially after Trump took office, is that there's a dread, an existential dread that just creeps after a long time being in that space. And what ends up happening is you get so defeated and you feel so futile in your efforts to do what the black immigrant might very well think you can do. Mm-hmm. And until I got to like that, I want to say 8-year mark when I was in the States, and a wave of depression washed over me. I think it was a little bit into the Trump presidency. I got that after 8 years. Mm-hmm. These niggas been here since they was born. They've been dealing with that shit since they was born. If I could feel that defeated after 8 years of this shit, I can only imagine what my friend from Chicago was feeling, what my friend from Atlanta was feeling. Mm-hmm. I could only imagine after, at a particular point, being looked at every time when I walk into a grocery store, you got a white old lady looking at you like you's a damn monster. Like and even if they look at you fondly, you still being fetishized. Mm-hmm. Even if they look at you like they think that they doing you a
yeah. So Haitians would go to America, and when she got to the room, the doctor wouldn't give her pain medication, saying these people are exaggerating, and didn't realize like she was black also, and saying these people. But also Haitians, when they came to America, they didn't realize racism was not a thing because everybody was just human beings. Right. It's when they got here they realized, oh, and also another thing about Haitians, they thought like, oh, they talking about African Americans. Well, I'm Haitian. So, that's so funny. So that's another thing she think. Oh, they must be talking that African Americans don't feel pain.
That is so crazy. You know what's wild? As you're saying these things,
The two thoughts that come to my mind. One is how similar the stories of racism are around the world.
Trevor, are they really that similar? Let's ask Malcolm X.
Even in South Africa, those Africans aren't faced with bayonets and aren't faced with police dogs and aren't where these African nations, knowing the brutality that is inflicted upon black people in this country, simply because those black people are trying to get what the Supreme Court said they were supposed to have 10 years ago. I would be not a man. If I was in a position to bring it in front of the United Nations and didn't do so, I wouldn't be.
We were facing the worst type of violence in the world at that time, and the world was not aware. That's why Malcolm X wanted to bring up this human rights issue to the United Nations so we can get support to stop the killings. For Trevor Noah to say it's crazy how similar racism is around the world, right after that man just said that his mother didn't know that she was going to be on the receiving end of racism because she was Haitian and not African American, it's just, what is going on?
So it's a lot of miseducation on both sides. They got people thinking the worst of each other.
And even with that, there's the idea, like I've heard Africans say, Black Americans are lazy. You know, I came to this country with XYZ and look at what I've accomplished. And I'm like, you came to this country with nothing true, but you came to this country with a different mindset.
Yeah.
You came to this country with the mindset of equality and confidence and superiority that has been instilled in you because you grew up in a nation where everybody looks like you. And the fact that you were able to come here at some point in time means you did have, at some point, there was some level of privilege instilled in you where you were able to leave Africa.
And you study American history, and you really study how African Americans have suffered, you go, you know how many African Americans are hardworking? Yep. All about education. Yep. So what are you going to say? W.E.B. Du Bois, who was the first to get a PhD at Harvard, he wasn't working hard? Right. I'm talking about in the early 1900s when they didn't let us have shit. Right. How did he get a PhD at that time? You're talking about Lewis Latimer, who invented the filament for the light bulb. That's the reason why Edison, when they were trying to invent the light bulb, it was all kerosene. So it was exploding. I read the whole book. I read Edison's biography. It was all exploding everywhere. And Lewis Latimer, black dude, apprentice, that filament that you see in the light bulb is a black man that made it. Because every February was Lewis Latimer. Right. But he was the one that created it. When it was, we appreciate that. We appreciate it, but African Americans have always been hardworking. But no, African Americans have been hardworking, but I don't know. But opportunity. What about the appreciation of the hard work for the immigrants who came to this country and worked hard? Here's the thing is the Civil Rights Bill is the reason why the parents got to come over here. 1964, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was one of the most racist son of bitches on the planet, had to sign that civil rights. But you know, Martin Luther King is sitting right next to him. Right. Yep. So that is the reason why Koreans can come here. Koreans, Indians, Arabs, Nigerians. It's because of the Civil Rights Bill. Right. It's because of African Americans, foundational black, coming in here, busting their ass, being treated like shit, being hung, lynched. Jim Crow, from slavery was Jim Crow, segregation, Reconstruction, being promised that they were going to get this, fighting every war. Black people fought in every single war and still being disrespected, not being able to buy homes. You understand? Burning up of black towns. And people go, well, why ain't they? They saw opportunities. There were black Wall Streets. There were black banks, black hospitals, and they came.
The veil is being lifted off of the promise of America. And I think that Black Americans are more progressive. We progressed past the American dream line. We're past that. I mean, we got some people who are stuck in their respectability politics era. But a lot of those people are first generations. They're not even Black Americans. Because I'm telling you right now, Black Americans are past respectability politics. We're past that because we already tried it. It's not that we knew already. Like, we're not so enlightened by the fact that we're Black Americans. We tried everything. And that is the reason why every time an immigrant comes here, we try to let y'all know what the deal is with this country. And that's also why when you come into this country, they warn you about us. You think they warn you about us because we are dangerous and because, no, they warn you about us because we're going to tell you the truth. You might wake up a little faster if you hang out with Black Americans. That's why they don't want you hanging out with us. They don't want you near the truth tellers, obviously. So I really do feel sorry for the immigrants that the veil is being lifted from their eyes and they are crashing out. I be seeing so many videos of immigrants just like, so upset about the things that are happening in this country and mourning the loss of the American dream in a way that Black people mourn that shit. I think my mom mourned it in the 80s.
African immigrants do not view racism the same way as Black Americans because we are looking at it from two completely different perspectives. Africans grew up in majority Black nations, with Black culture, Black leadership, and Black everything being the norm on a day-to-day basis. It's not the core part of their identity because everyone is majority Black when they look around. Black is the default. So off rip, they are not looking at things through a racial lens. But Black people in America look at everything through a racial lens because we are the minority in a country that was built off of our oppression. And the entire system was designed not only to exclude us, but to capitalize off of that exclusion. So systemic oppression is the struggle that Black Americans are dealing with on the home front. Struggles that people are dealing with in Africa are due to a failing or underdeveloped system. Poverty, corruption, lack of opportunity, economic instability, which is really the legacy of colonialism and neocolonialism. So in their minds, they see America as having a functioning system. They see America as full of opportunity compared to back in Africa. So they come here and they focus on individual advancement, where Black Americans see the system as being historically and currently rigged against us. We are not immigrants. We are people from whom the system was explicitly built to oppose. They often see racism as individual prejudice, personal act of meanness or ignorance that can be overcome or ignored on their path to success. Where Black people understand that it is systemically embedded feature of law, institution, and economic that create a barrier far beyond individual prejudice. And I think a lot of the disagreement comes from not understanding what something means to be systemic. And something is systemic, a pattern behavior or a culture that is repetitive that many people are perpetuating. Because there are many people in America who are racist and have anti-Black sentiment, and they encompass various positions and roles in America, it makes racism systemic. The system is not a machine, but the individuals who make up the machine. Since so many people are racist, the issue is systemic. They have embedded their personal prejudices into the system. Not only that, are passing down this ideology to their offspring, which makes it more systemic. Anyways, so because of the hurdles that they faced back home, they often see what Black Americans go through as trivial or frivolous or not as hard as compared to what they went through back home. That's where the ideology that Black Americans are lazy comes from, because they face national systemic instability in their homelands. But what they are not understanding is that what Africa is going through is a core function of systemic racism. It is systemic racism on a global scale. Systemic instability for Black Americans is internal. It's redlining, it's mass incarceration, it's police brutality, it's education inequity. But for Africa, it's the deliberate underdevelopment of the entire continent that is primarily populated by Black people. It's the European powers carving up the continent with no regards for ethnic, linguistic, or cultural boundaries, and the creation of artificial nations primed for internal conflict. It's the exploitation used by Western corporations and financial institutions like IMF and the World Bank, pillaging resources and dictating economic policy through debt. This is economic racism on a global scale. The ideology that justified slavery in America, the belief in white supremacy, and the inferiority of Black people is the exact same ideology that justified the colonization of Africa. Africans say, I came over here and succeeded, why can't you? They are comparing overcoming poverty caused by global anti-racism, anti-blackness, i.e. colonialism, to the Black American experience of overcoming poverty by domestic anti-Black racism. We are battling the monsters created by the same beast, white supremacy. One monster was unleashed abroad to destabilize and plunder nations. The other was built at home to control and exploit the population. Defeating one does not mean the other does not exist. It just means you're fighting in a different arena. Same way as Black Americans, because we were looking at it from two completely different perspectives.
If you truly believe that it's different for us, why don't you just copy what we do? We just don't care. And the reason why we don't care is because our parents did not tell us to care about it. They never did. Your parents, your grandparents told you to care about it. And that's the problem with the Black American community. Your grandparents told your parents about racism. And your parents told you about racism. Then you're going to grow up and tell your kids about racism. And the problem continues because you keep on talking about it. Listen, my dad was born in 1961. That's a year after Congo became an independent country. So my dad grew up watching the country going from colonization to becoming what it is today. My dad has never sat me down to tell me about how he was growing up. Never. Never! And that will never be my dad's story. My dad's story is the story of a 17-year-old who came from a Congolese village, made it to the capital, and now owns multiple properties. That is my dad's story. My dad's story will never be the story of a young man who grew up in a country where white folks used to mistreat his father. My dad's story will never be the story of a young man who came from a woman who was probably the result of a rape, because my grandma is light-skinned as hell and we don't even know who our parents are. We don't have that information. So we can only assume that she was probably the result of a rape during colonization. We just leave it at that. And we decide to not make that our story. You see that? Decision. You can decide what you can be. So why don't you just copy us? Just copy us and do what we do. You can see racism. You can acknowledge that racism exists. And you can also just choose to not let it bother you. Just don't let it bother you. You see it, walk past it, carry on.
One of the worst things about being Black in America has got to be experiencing racism from other minorities, bro. That shit is so disheartening. Like, damn, bro, you too? And one of the reasons why we be feeling so jaded about this is because Black people are always down with other people's causes. Like, to be Black in America means that it's ingrained in your nature to stand up against injustice. And that shit just don't be feeling reciprocated, bro. Like, Black people are always accepting of other people into our cultures. We might make our jokes or whatever, hee hee ha ha, but if you contribute to our culture, we will welcome you into our spaces. And it just be sad to, like, it'd be like, damn, bro.
Anyway, some of the people in the script said that they came to America believing that hard work alone would solve every problem. But after living there for some time, they said that they face things they never expected. I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. Some talked about being treated differently because of their skin color, and some said they're fraud in stores. Oh my God, this is very crazy. Others said they felt judged before people even knew them. Oh my God, this is very crazy. And whether you agree with every story or not, these are their personal experiences. I think one important reason is this: sometimes people don't fully understand another person's experience until they go through something similar themselves. And that doesn't mean every person will have the same experiences. I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. This is very hard to explain. America is a very big country. People have different lives depending on where they live and where they work and where they meet. Oh my God. But there's a video show why conversation about race continue today. Another thing I noticed is that many people online are saying this should not divide Africa. Oh my God. Black American instead. And it should help people understand each other better. Oh my God, this is very crazy. And remember guys, this time around, people listen more instead of arguing. Maybe they can find more common ground. And I also think we should be careful not to judge millions of people based on few viral videos. And not every African immigrant think the same. And not every black American has the same opinion. Everyone has their own story. Exactly. So guys, what's on your mind? That is why it is very important to hear different voices. And one thing I respect is when people are honest about what they have experienced. Exactly. This is very understandable. So if someone changed their opinion after living in the new place, that shows life can teach us things we didn't know before. And at the same time, I think respect should go both ways. People should be able to share their experiences without attacking other groups. I'm telling you, this is very unbelievable. We need more understanding and raise head. Oh my God, this is very crazy. This conversation become better when people speak with respect instead of anger. Exactly. And I can understand why this topic is trending. I'm telling you, people are sharing different opinion in the comments, and some agree. Oh my God. Some disagree. Oh my God, this is very unbelievable. And remember, you guys, that's okay. Have discussion is always better than it's hard, and at the end of the day, every person's experiences matters. Exactly. Listening doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. Exactly. So you guys, it simply means that you are willing to hear another person's stories, and that is how real conversation begin. Oh my God, this is very unbelievable, and this is very understandable. But those are my thoughts right now, guys. And you guys, now I want to hear from you. Do you think these experiences change the conversation? Very interesting question to reply. Or do you think people are making too much out of a few viral videos? Leave your opinion in the comments. And thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, share and like. See you in the next video.